Going live.
Woo!
Pog.
Woo!
Did someone just say Pog?
It's so poggers.
Not it.
Not it. I didn't say Pog. Well, now I did, but
Not
I
this
didn't
time.
before.
Okay, but we're live, guys.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Are we?
wait.
We
I
are.
got it. I got the
Maybe
notification.
we're live.
We are.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
We're
I feel
live.
Woo! Hold on. I
Okay.
just.
Oh, right. My voice teacher wanted to see this one. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Okay. I should open the script.
Yeah,
Introduction.
probably.
Wait.
They're
I
just
did so
quiet
much
it out.
progress of highlighting.
Okay, are we ready? Because we're already live.
I think we are.
Oh, yes,
I
we'll
will
ever be.
Okay, shut up. I will highlight people to introduce themselves.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sho. I'm playing the kid and Valerie.
Oops.
What do you want to hear? Oops. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm playing Gramps, Prince Humperdinck, and the albino.
Oh, my name is Pixie. I'm playing Buttercup and the Ancient Boo Lady.
Hi, I'm Justin. I am playing Wesley and the impressive clergyman.
Hi, I'm Sabine. Who am I playing? Bassini, Asbert, and Max. Who's next? Oh god.
Hello. My name is Nora Caniff, and I will be playing Inigo Montoya. I don't care that I dox myself.
Did you just dox yourself?
Yep. Everyone who watches this follows me on Instagram. My Instagram doxes me.
Alright. I'm Blitz, and I'll be playing Rugen and Yelling.
Hi, I'm Inara. I am reading stage directions and also playing Fezzik and the mother.
It's everyone, right?
Thanks.
I believe so.
Okay. Go.
Okay, The Princess Bride, written by William Goldman and adapted by Justin. So I don't want to mispronounce the last name.
Aries.
Justin Aries, thank you. The kid is lying in bed, coughing, pale, one sick cookie. Maybe he's 7 or 8 or 9. He holds a remote in one hand, presses it, and the video game moves a little bit. Then he's hit by a spasm of coughing and puts the remote down. We're in the present day, and this is a middle-class house, somewhere in the suburbs. Cut to the kid's mother as she enters. She fluffs his pillow, kisses him, and briefly feels his forehead. She's worried, but it doesn't show. You feeling any better?
A little bit.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather's here.
Can't you tell him I'm sick?
You are sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't. The kid shoots her an I'm sure look. Cuts to the kid's grandfather bursting into the room. He's kind of rumpled, but the eyes are bright. He has a wrapped package tucked into one arm as he immediately goes to the kid, pinches his cheek.
Hey kid, how's the sticky here?
The kid gives his mother an I told you so look. The mother ignores it. I think I'll leave you two pals. She leaves. There's an uncomfortable silence. Then,
I brought you a special present.
What is it?
Open it up.
the kid does so. He does his best to smile.
A book.
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books, and this is a special book. It's a book my father used to read to me, and when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
Has it got any sports in it?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love.
The grandfather now sits on a chair next to the kid's bed.
That doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. Vote of confidence is overwhelming. All right. The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1. Princess Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florin.
Dissolved 2, the story he's written about, as the monochromatic look of the bedroom is replaced by the dazzling color of the English countryside.
Her favorite pastime was riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Nothing gave Buttercup as much pleasure as ordering Wesley around.
Cuts to Buttercup's farm, day. Buttercup is standing, holding the reins of her horse. In the background is Wesley, the stable doorway, looking at her. Buttercup is in her late teens, doesn't care much about clothes and hates brushing her long hair, so she isn't as attractive as she might be, but still probably the most beautiful woman in the world.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
Wesley is perhaps half 6 years older than Buttercup, maybe as handsome as she is beautiful. He gazes at her as she walks away.
All he wished was ever what all as you wish was all he ever said to her.
Dissolved 2, Wesley outside chopping wood. Buttercup drops 2 large buckets near him.
Farm boy, fill these with water. Please.
As you wish.
She leaves. His eyes stay on her. She stops, turns. He manages to look away as now her eyes stay on him.
That day she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, as you wish, he meant was, I love you. And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Dissolved 2, Buttercup in the kitchen, dusk. Wesley enters with an armload of firewood. Buttercup points to a picture that she could very well reach herself.
Farm boy, fetch me that picture.
He gets it and hands it to her. They are sitting very close to each other, gazing into each other's eyes.
As you wish.
Now he turns, moving outside. Dissolved 2, Wesley and Buttercup, outside his tiny hovel in the red glow of sunset. They are locked in a passionate kiss.
Hold it.
We cut back to the kids' room.
What is this? Are you trying to trick me? Where's the sports? Is this a kissing book?
Wait, just wait. This is a very emotional time for Buttercup.
I don't believe this.
Cuts to Wesley and Buttercup. They stand near the gate of the farm, locked in embrace. An embrace.
I fear I'll never see you again.
Of course you will.
But what if something happens to you?
Hear this now. I will come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love. You think this happens every day?
He smiles at her. She smiles too, throwing her arms so tightly around him. They kiss. Then as Wesley walks away, Buttercup watches him go.
Wesley didn't reach his final destination. His ship was attacked by the dread pirate Roberts, who never left captives alive. When Buttercup got the news that Wesley was murdered,
Murdered by pirates is good.
she went to her room and shut the door, and for days she neither slept nor ate.
I will never love again.
All on her face, perfect and perfectly sad. Dissolved 2, Florin Castle, day. The main courtyard of Florin is replete with townspeople, livestock, and bustling marketplace.
5 years later, the main square of Florin City was filled as never before to hear the announcement of the great Prince Humperdinck bride-to-be.
Prince Humperdinck, a man of incredible power and bearing, standing in his royal robes on a castle balcony. 3 others standing behind him, an old couple with crowns, the king and queen, and a dark, bearded man who seems to be the prince's matching strength. This is Count Rogan.
My people, a month from now, our country will have its 500th anniversary. In that sundown, I shall marry a lady who was once a common like you. But perhaps you will not find her so common now. Would you like to meet her?
And the answering yes booms like summer thunder. A giant staircase leading to the crowd as a figure just begins to become visible. The crowd collectively holds its breath. The staircase, as the figure appears in the archway. It is Buttercup. She is resplendent.
My people, Princess Buttercup.
She descends the stairs and starts to move amongst the people. The crowd do a very strange thing. With no structure at all, they suddenly go on their knees. Great waves of people kneeling. Buttercup is terribly moved. She stands immobile among her subjects, blinking back tears, holding her beauty for a moment.
Buttercup's emptiness consumed her. Although the law of the land gave Humperdinck the right to choose his bride, she did not love him.
Cut to Woodlands. Buttercup is barreling along, controlling her horses easily.
Despite Humperdinck's reassurance that she would grow to love him, the only joy she found was in her daily ride.
A word, my lady?
Cuts to 3 men standing close together in the path. Beyond them can be seen the waters of the flowing channel. The 3 men are not your everyday commoner types. Standing in front is a tiny man with the most angelic face. He is Sicilian, and his name is Zini. Beside him is a Spaniard, erect and taut as a blade of steel. His name is Inigo Montoya. Beside him is a giant. His name is Fezek.
We are but poor lost circus performers. Is there a village nearby?
There is nothing nearby, nothing for miles.
Good. Then there will be no one to hear you scream.
He nods to the giant, Fezek, who merely reaches over and touches a nerve on Buttercup's neck, and the start of a scream is all she manages. Unconsciousness comes that fast, as she starts to fall. Cuts to a tiny isolated spot at the edge of the flowing channel. A sailboat is moored. It is dusk now, shadows are long. Inigo, the Spaniard, busies himself with getting the boat ready. The giant Fezek carries Buttercup unconscious on board. Vizini rips some tiny pieces of fabric from an army jacket and tucks them along the saddle of Buttercup's horse. There is about the entire operation a sense of tremendous skill and precision.
What is that you're ripping?
It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Gilda,
Who's Gilder?
the country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Florin. Go, horsey.
Slap sound. The horse takes off and the 3 plus Buttercup in Fezek's arms start for the boat.
Once the horse reaches the castle, the fabric will make the prince suspect the Gilderians have abducted his love. When he finds her body dead on the Gilder frontier, his suspicions will be completely confirmed.
You never said anything about killing anyone.
I've hired you to help me start a war. That's a prestigious line of work with a long and glorious tradition.
I just don't think it's right, killing an innocent girl.
Am I going mad, or did the word think escape your lips? You're not hired for your brains, you hippopotamic landmass.
I agree with Fezzik.
Close up, Vizini in a fury. We only thought he wasn't a fury. Now he's really getting mad.
Oh, the sot has spoken. What happens to her is not truly your concern. I will kill her, and remember this, never forget this. When I found you, you were so slobber and drunk you couldn't buy brandy. And you were friendless, brainless, helpless, and hopeless. Do you want me to send you back to where you were, unemployed in Greenland?
Vizini glares at him, then turns and leaves him. During this, Inigo has gone close to Fezzik, who is very distressed at the insults he's just received.
That Vicini, he can fuss.
Fuss. I think he likes to scream at us.
He probably means no harm.
He's really short on charm.
Oh, you've a great gift for rhyme.
Yes, some of the time.
Enough of that.
Fezzik, are those rocks ahead?
If there are, we'll all be dead.
No more rhymes now. I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut? I love as Vizini screams with himself too, the sailboat racing across dark waters. Inigo is at the helm. Fezzik stands near the body of the princess, whose eyelids flutter slightly. Or do they? Vizini sits motionless. The waves are higher, and there are only occasional flashes of moon sliding down between clouds.
We'll reach the cliffs by dawn. Why are you doing that?
To make sure no one's following us.
That would be inconceivable.
Despite what you think, you will be caught, and when you are, the prince will see you all hung.
Vizini turns a cold eye on the princess.
Of all the necks on this boat, Highness, the one you should be worrying about is your own. Stop doing that. We can all relax. It's almost over.
You're sure nobody's following us?
As I told you, it would be absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable. No one in Gilda knows what we've done, and no one in Florin could have gotten here so fast. Out of curiosity, why do you ask?
No reason. It's only I just happened to look behind us and something is there.
What?
And suddenly the three whirl and stare back. As they do, we cut to the darkness behind them. It's hard to see. The moon is behind the clouds now, but the wind whistles and the waves pound. Suddenly it is all gone, ominous. Inigo, Fezek, and Vizini are squinting back, trying desperately to see. At this moment, they are all holding their breaths. Behind them, there is still nothing to be seen. It's still ominous. But now it's eerie too. Then the moon slips through. Inigo was right. Something is very much there. A sailboat, black, with a great billowing sail, black. It's a good distance behind them, but it's coming like hell, closing the gap. Inigo, Fezek, and Vizini stare at the other boat.
Probably some local fishermen out for a pleasure cruise at night through eel-infested waters.
And now, as the sound comes from the boat, they turn as it cuts to Buttercup, diving into the water, starting to swim away. We hear Vizini screaming.
Ah! Go in! Get after her!
I don't swim.
I only doggy paddle.
There, left, left, left!
Cuts to Buttercup, who is still close to the boat, switching from a crawl to a silent breaststroke. The wind dies, and as it does, something new is heard. A not too distant high-pitched shrieking sound. Buttercup stops suddenly, treads water.
Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eels. If you doubt me, just wait. They always grow louder when they're about to feed on human flesh. If you swim back now, I promise no harm will come to you. I doubt you'll get such an offer from the eels.
Cuts to Buttercup, treading water, still not far from the boat. The shrinking sounds are getting louder and more terrifying. Buttercup stays silent. She's a gutsy girl. The shrinking sound is louder still, but she doesn't make a sound. Behind her now, something dark and gigantic slithers past. She's scared, sure, petrified. Who wouldn't be, but she makes no reply. Now a shrinking eel has zeroed in on her, and now she sees it, a short distance away, circling, starting to close. Buttercup is frozen, trying not to make a movement of any kind. The eel slithers closer, closer. Buttercup knows it now. There's nothing she can do. It's over. All over. Now the eel opens its mouth wide, and it's never made such a noise, and as its great jaws are about to clamp down.
It doesn't get eaten by the eels this time.
Cuts to the kid's room. The kid looks the same, pale and weak, but maybe he's gripping the sheets a little too tightly with his hands.
The eel doesn't get her. I'm explaining it to you because you look nervous.
Well, I wasn't nervous. Maybe a little concerned, but that is not the same thing.
I can stop now if you want.
No, you could read a little more, if you want.
He grips the sheets again, and as the grandfather picks up the book, we're back where we were at the last moment we saw her. Buttercup frozen, the shrieking eel, jaws wide, about to clamp down as we see a giant arm pounding the wheel unconscious. Bonk! And in one move and then easily lifting Buttercup. We pull back to reveal the boat and Fezzik, Buttercup being deposited on the deck.
Put it down. Just put it down.
I think he's getting closer.
No concern of ours. Sail on. Suppose you think you're brave, don't you?
Only compared to some.
Dissolved to the boat at dawn. The boat at dawn being followed closely by the black sailboat, which we can see for the first time is being sailed by a man in black. His boat almost seems to be flying.
Look, he's right on top of us. I wonder if he's using the same wind we are using.
Whoever he is, he's too late. See? The cliffs of insanity.
And once he said the name, we cut to the cliffs of insanity. Done. They rise straight up from the water, impossibly high. The two sailboats are in a wild race for the cliffs, and the man in black is closing faster than ever, but not fast enough. The lead was too great to overcome, and as Indigo sails with great precision straight at the cliffs,
Hurry up. Move that thing. The other thing. No, move it. We're safe. Only Physic is strong enough to go up our way. He'll have to sail around for hours until he finds a harbor.
there is much activity going on. All of it swift, except economical. Fezzik reaches up along the cliff face, grabs a jutting rock, reaches behind him. Suddenly there is a thick rope in his hands. He jumps to the boat, gives the rope a free swing, and we see that the rope goes all the way to the top. Cuts to Inigo hurrying to Fezzik. He straps a harness to him, then lifts Buttercup and Vizini in the harness. Finally, he gets in the harness. All three are strapped to Fezzik like papooses. He starts to ascend the rope, carrying them all along with him. He cuts to the man in black, sailing in towards the cliffs of insanity, watching as Fezzik rides swiftly through the first moments of dawn. Cuts to the top of the cliffs, looking down. Fezzik's group is only faintly visible far below. This is the first time we've gotten the real vertigo feeling. It's a gasper. Fezzik continues to climb. Buttercup is almost out of her mind with fear. Fezzik is moving right along, however high they are. He's already over a third of the way done. The man in black leaps from his ship to the rope, starting to climb. He's impossibly far behind, but the way he goes, you think he didn't know that, because he's flying up the rope, hand over hand, like lightning. Inigo.
Oh, fuck. I can't read. He's climbing the rope, and he's gaining on us.
Inconceivable.
He prods Fezzik, nods, and grizes his face. The man in black is running up the rope and cutting deeply into Fezzik's lead.
Faster!
I thought I was going faster.
You were supposed to be this colossus. You were this great, legendary thing, and yet he gains.
Well, I'm carrying 3 people. He's only got himself.
I do not accept excuses. I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant, that's all.
Fezzik is hurt by this comment. Don't say that, Vizini. Please. His arms begin moving around much more slowly. The man in black's arms still look as... I can't read and do this at the same time. The man in black's arms still work as before. If anything, his head speeded up. Fezzik's lead is smaller and smaller. From the top of the cliffs, we see that there is maybe 100 feet for Fezzik to go. And maybe more. It's getting too close now. The man in black is less than 100 feet behind them and gaining. Vizini leaps off and takes out a knife. He begins to cut the rope, which is tied around a great rock, while Indigo helps the princess to her feet, and Fezzik just stands around, waiting for someone to tell him to do something. Nearby are some stone rooms. Once they might have been a fort, now they kind of resemble Stonehenge. The man in black is feet from the top now, maybe less, maybe only 50, and his face is as dazzling as before. Vizini cuts through the last of the rope. The rope slithers across the ground in and out of sight toward the channel, like a serpent going home. Fezzik is standing with Inigo and Buttercup by the cliff edge. He has very good arms. The man in black is hanging suspended hundreds of feet in the air, holding to the jagged rocks, desperately trying to gleam to life. Vizini is stunned. He turns around to the others.
Didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. My God, he's climbing.
Whoever he is, he's obviously seen us with the princess and must therefore die. You carry her. We'll head straight for the Gilda frontier. Catch up when he's dead. If he falls, fine. If not, the sword will do.
I want to duel him left-handed.
You know what a hurry we're in.
Well, it's the only way I can be satisfied. If I use my right, over too quickly.
Oh, have it your way.
He turns abruptly and leaves. The man in black is still creeping his way upward. You be careful. People in masks cannot be trusted.
I'm waiting.
Inigo watches them depart and then turns to peer down over the cliffs. He watches a moment, then paces, shaking his hands loose. He practices a few of his home fencing skills. He is a taut and nervous fellow, never been one for waiting around. The man in black is still climbing on. Look at him go. He must be 6 inches closer to the top than when we last saw him. Inigo is watching. Inigo is walking away. Finally, he goes back to the cliff edge, starting to talk. It's instant death if the man in black falls, but neither gives the possibility much credence. This is our two heroes meeting. They don't know it yet, but that's what it is.
Hello there. Slow going?
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not as easy as it looks, so I'd appreciate if you wouldn't distract me.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I do not suppose you could speed things up?
If you're in such a hurry, you could lower a rope or a tree branch or find something useful to do.
I could do that. In fact, I've got some rope right here, but I do not think that you will accept my help, since I'm only waiting around to kill you.
Well, that does put a damper on our relationship.
He finds another boat a few inches higher.
But I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting. I could give you my word as a Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
The man in black just hangs there in space, resting, gathering his strength.
You don't know any way you'll trust me.
Nothing comes to mind.
And on these words, we close up on Inigo. He raises his right hand, eyes blaze, and his voice takes a tone we have not heard before.
I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, you will reach the top alive.
There is a pause. The man in black thinks it over.
Throw me the rope.
Inigo dashes to the giant rock the rope was originally tied to. Man in black loosens his grip, trying to cling to the side of the cliff. Inigo now has a small coil of rope. He hurries back and hurls it over the edge. He hangs there. The man releases the rocks and grabs the rope. He hangs helplessly in space for a moment. Then he looks up at Inigo, who is straining, forcing his body away from the cliff edge. The man in black rises through the early morning light, slowly, steadily, and as the cliff top at last comes within reach, Inigo watches the other man crawl to safety. The man in black pulls out his sword.
Thank you.
I'll wait till you're ready.
Again, thank you.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance have 6 fingers on your right hand.
Do you always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a 6-fingered man. He was a great sword maker, my father, and when the 6-fingered man appeared and requested a special sword, my father took the job. He slaved a year before it was done.
I have never seen its equal.
Even now, this still brings Inigo pain.
The 6-fingered man returned and demanded it, but at 1/10 his promised price. My father refused. Without a word, the 6-fingered man slashed him through the heart. I loved my father, so naturally challenged his murderer to a duel. I failed. The 6-fingered man did not leave me alive with the 6-fingered sword. But he gave me these.
He touches his scars.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old. When I was strong enough, I dedicated my life to the study of fencing, so the next time we meet, I will not fail. I will go up to the 6-fingered man, and I will say, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
You've done nothing but study swordplay.
More pursuit than study lately. You see, I cannot find him. It's been 20 years now. I'm starting to lose confidence. I just work for Rossini to pay the bills. There's not a lot of money in revenge.
The man in black hands Inigo back his sword, starting to rise.
Well, I certainly hope you find him someday.
Are you ready then?
Whether I am or not, you've been more than fair.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
You seem a decent fellow too. I hate to die.
Cuts to the two of them, and what we are starting now is one of the 2 greatest sword fights in modern movies. The other one happens later on, and right from the beginning it looks different, because they aren't too close to each other. None of the swords are crossing unguarded garbage. No, what we have here is 2 men, 2 athletes, and they look to be too far away to damage each other, but each time one makes even the tiniest feint, the other counters, and there is silence. And as they start to circle, the 6-fingered sword feints here and there. 2 men are now finished cheesing, beginning to do in earnest. Their swords cross, then again and again. And the sound comes so fast it's almost continual. Indigo presses on, the men in black retreating up a rocking incline.
You're using Benetti's defense against me, eh?
I thought it fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally, you must expect me to counter with Capoferro.
His style is shifted.
Naturally, but I find the ball cancels out Capoferro, don't you?
The man in black is now perched at the edge of the elevated castle room. Nowhere to go, he jumps in the sand. Inigo stares down at him.
Unless the enemy has studied his Agrippa, which I have.
And now, with the grace of an Olympian, Inigo flies up to the perch, somersaults clean over the man in black's head, and lands fancy his opponent. The two men are almost flying across the rocky terrain, never losing balance, never coming close to stumbling. The battle rages with incredible finesse, first one and then the other gaining advantage. By now, it is clear that this isn't just two athletes going at it, it's a lot more than that. This is two legendary swashbucklers, and they're in their prime. It's Burt Lancaster in The Prison Pirate battling Errol Flynn in Robin Hood, and then the action begins going even faster than before as it cuts to Inigo. Behind him, drawing closer all the time, is the deadly edge of the cliffs of insanity. Inigo fights and ducks and feints and slashes, and it all works. But not for long, as gradually the man in black keeps the advantage, keeps forcing Inigo back, closer and closer to death.
You are wonderful!
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
I admit it, you are better than I am.
Then why are you smiling?
Each inch from defeat, Inigo is, in fact, all smiles.
Because I know something you don't.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
He immediately throws the six-fingered sword into his right hand. The tide of the battle turns.
You're amazing.
I ought to be after 20 years.
There's something I ought to tell you.
Tell me.
I am not left-handed either.
He changes hands and the battle is fully joined. Inigo, to his amazement, is being forced down the steps. He tries one style, another, but it all comes down to the same thing. The man in black seems to be in control. And before Inigo knows it, the sword is knocked out of his hand. He retreats. The man in black watches Inigo, then casually tosses his sword to the landing where it sinks in perfectly. The man in black copies. Well, not exactly. He improves. He swings over the bar like a circus performer and dismounts with a backflip. Inigo stares in awe.
Who are you?
No one of consequence.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment.
Okay.
Inigo is moving like lightning, and he thrusts forward, slashes, starts back, all in a single movement. The man in black is dodging, blocking, and again he thrusts forward, faster than ever before. And again, he slashes at Inigo, but there is never a move anyone makes he doesn't remember. This time he blocks the slash, slashes himself out with the six-fingered sword. On he goes, back and forth across the rocky terrain, Inigo's feet moving with the grace and speed of a great improvisational dancer. The six-fingered sword is knocked free, arching up to the air, and Inigo catches it again. Something terrible is written behind his eyes. He has given his all, done everything a man can do, tried every style, made every maneuver, but it wasn't enough. And on his face for all to see is the realization that he, Inigo Montoya of Spain, is going to lose. He stands helpless only for a moment. Then he drops to his knees, bows his head, shuts his eyes.
Kill me quickly.
I would as soon destroy stained glass window as an artist like yourself. However, since I can't have you following me either...
Dunks Inigo's head with his heavy sword handle. Inigo pitches forward unconscious.
Please understand, I hold you in the highest respect.
He grabs his scabbard and takes off after the princess, and we cut to close up on Vizini.
Inconceivable.
We pull back to reveal Vizini, staring down from a narrow mountain path. As far below the man in black can be seen running. Pazik, carrying the princess, stands alongside. It's a little later in the morning.
Give it to me. Catch up with us quickly.
And what do?
Finish him, your way.
Cut to A couple of rocks. Nothing gigantic. Vizini points to them. There's a large boulder nearby.
Pick up one of those rocks, get behind the boulder, and in a few minutes the man in black will come running around the bend. The minute his head is in view, hit it with the rock.
My way is not very sportsmanlike. As Vizini and Buttercup hurry away, he grabs one of the rocks and plots behind the boulder, and with the soap too, the man in black racing up the mountain trail. Ahead is a bend of the trail. He sees it, slows. He stops and listens. Satisfied by silence, he starts forward again, and as he rounds the bend, a rock flies into the frame. Hold on. Okay. Shattering on a boulder inches in front of him. Fedek moves into the path. He has another rock and holds it tightly. I did it on purpose. I don't have to miss.
I believe you. So what happens now?
We face each other as God intended, sportsmanlike. No tricks, no weapons. Skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword and we try to kill each other like civilized people?
I could kill you. He gets set to throw, but the man in black shakes his head, takes off his sword, and sets scabbard against the approach toward the giant.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor at hand fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest and strongest. I don't even exercise. The man in black is not now and has never been a shrimp. But it's like he wasn't even there. Felix towers over him so much. There's a moment's pause. Then the man in black dives at Fezzik's chest, slams him several tremendous blows in the stomach, twists his arms severely, slips skillfully into a beautifully applied bear hug, and in general makes any number of terrific wrestling moves. Fezzik just stands there, kind of taking in the scenery. Finally, the man in black pushes himself away, stares up at the giant.
Look, are you just fiddling with me or what?
I just want you to feel you're doing well. I hate for people to die embarrassed. Fezzik jumps forward with stunning speed for anyone his size and reaches for the man in black who drifts to his knees, spins loose, and slips between the giant's legs. You're quick.
And a good thing, too.
Why wear a mask? Were you burned by acid or something like that?
Oh no, it's just that they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
Fezzik considers this a moment, then attacks, faster than before. Man in black slips down to avoid charge. Fezzik moves right with him, only instead of twisting free and jumping, this time the man in black jumps for Fezzik's back, and in a moment he is running him. In his arms are Fezzik's throat, locked across his windpipe. The man in black begins to squeeze, tighter. Oh, it's my line. I just figured out why you give me so much trouble.
And why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person for so long. I've been specializing in groups. Battling links for local charities, that kind of thing.
Why should that make such a difference?
Well, you see, you use different moves when you're fighting half a dozen than when you only have to be worried about one. Fezzik slams the man in black against the boulder, only this time his power has diminished, and Fezzik starts to slowly collapse. The man in black holds his grip as Fezzik tries to stand, halfway makes it, but there is no air. Back to his knees he falls, holds there for a moment, and pitches down to all fours. The man in black increases the pressure. Fezzik goes to the earth and lays still.
I don't envy you. The headache you will have when you wake up. But in the meantime, rest well and dream of large women.
He nimbly scoops up his sword and dashes off along the mountain path. Cut to Prince Humperdinck as he slips his foot into a footprint in the sand. Count Rungan mounted watches. Behind him, half a dozen armed warriors also mounted. A great white horse waits riderless in the front. Humperdinck's all over the rocky ground, and maybe he isn't the best hunter in the world. Then again, maybe he is, because as he begins to put his feet into strange positions, realize that what he's doing is miming the fencers.
There was a mighty duel. It ranged all over. They were both masters.
Who won? How did it end?
The loser ran off alone, and the winner followed those footprints towards the Gilder.
Shall we track them both?
The loser is nothing. Only the princess matters. Clearly, this was all planned by the warriors of Gilda. We must be ready for whatever lies ahead.
Could this be a trap?
I always think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
Close up on a knife pointed at her throat. We go back to reveal Vizini munching on an apple, holding the knife to Buttercup's throat. She is blindfolded. Oh, nice. Nice, Sabine. A picnic spread is laid out. A tablecloth, 2 goblets in between them, a small leather wine container, and some cheese and a couple apples. The picnic is set in a lovely spot, high on the edge of a mountain path with a view all the way back to the sea. The man in black comes running down the path, sees Vizini, slows. The 2 men study each other.
So, it is down to you, and it is down to me. If you wish her dead, by all means, keep moving forward.
Let me explain.
There is nothing to explain. You're trying to kidnap what I've rightfully stolen.
Perhaps an arrangement can be reached.
There will be no arrangement, and you're killing her.
But if there can be no arrangement, then we are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes.
Morons.
Really? Well, in that case, I challenge you to a battle of wits.
For the princess? To the death? I accept.
Good. Then pour the wine.
Vizini fills the goblet with dark red liquid. The man in black pulls a small packet from his clothing, handed it to Vizini.
Inhale this, but do not touch.
I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called eocaine powder. It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is among the more deadlier poisons known to man.
Vizini turns his back and the man in black takes the goblets. A moment later, Vizini turned back around. The man in black rotates the goblets in a little shell game maneuver, then puts one glass in front of Vizini, the other in front of himself.
All right, where is the poison? The battle of the wits has begun. It ends when you decide and we both drink and find out who is right and who is dead.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put poison into his own goblet or his enemies? Now, a clever man would put the poison into his own goblet because he would know only a great fool would reach for what he was given. I am clearly not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the goblet in front of me.
You've made your decision then.
Not remotely. Because iocane powder comes from Australia, as everyone knows, and Australia is entirely populated with criminals. And criminals are used to having people not trust them, as you are not trusted by me. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going. Where was I?
Australia.
Yes, Australia. And as you must have suspected, I would have known the powder's origin. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You're just stalling now.
You would like to think that, wouldn't you? Moving on, you've beaten my giant, which means you're exceptionally strong. So you could have put this poison into your own goblet, trusting on your strength to save you. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you've also bested my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you must have learned that man is mortal. So you would not put the poison. So you would have put the poison as far away from yourself as possible. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You're trying to trick me into giving something away. It won't work.
It has worked. You've given everything away. I know where the poison is.
Then make your choice.
I will, and I choose.
He stops suddenly and points at something behind the man in black.
What in the world could that be?
The man in black turns around. Vizini is switching the goblets while he has his back turned.
I don't see anything.
Oh, well, I could have sworn I saw something. No matter.
Vizini begins to laugh.
What's so funny?
I'll tell you in a minute. First, let's drink. Me from my glass, you from yours.
He picks up his goblet. As they both start to drink, Vizini hesitates for a moment. Then, allowing the man in black to drink first, he swallows his wine. Wine?
You guessed wrong.
Only you think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched the glasses when your back was turned. You fool!
The man in black just sits there. There is nothing to say.
You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Laughs, roars, and cackles and whoops, and is always quite cheery until he falls over dead. The man in black steps past the corpse, taking the blindfold and bindings of Buttercup, who notices Vizini lying dead.
Who are you?
I am no one to be trifled with. That is all you ever need to know.
To think, all that time it was your cup that was poisoned.
They were both poisoned. I spent the last few years building an immunity to iocane powder.
Cuts to a mountain path where Fezzik caught the man in black. The prince is kneeling, inspecting every grain of misplaced sand. The others wait behind him.
Someone has beaten a giant. There will be a great suffering in Gilder if she dies.
The man in black comes running into view, still dragging Buttercup, who sometimes stumbles, but he keeps forcing her along. Finally, when she is close to exhaustion, he lets go of her.
Catch your breath.
If you'll release me, whenever you ask for ransom, you'll get it, I promise you.
And what is that worth? The promise of a woman? You're very funny, Highness.
I was giving you a chance. No matter where you take me, there's no greater hunter than Prince Humperdinck. He could track a falcon on a cloudy day. He can find you.
You think your dearest love will save you?
I never said he was my dearest love. And yes, he will save me. That I know.
You admit to me you do not love your fiancé.
He knows I do not love him.
Are not capable of love is what you mean.
I have loved more deeply than a killer like yourself could ever dream.
The man in black cocks back a fist. Buttercup flinches but does not retreat.
That was a warning, Highness. The next time my hand flies on its own. For where I come from, there are penalties when a woman lies.
Cuts to Vizini's body. The picnic is spread as before. The prince is kneeling by the body. He grabs the empty poison packet, hands it to Rogan, after first sniffing himself.
Iocane. I bet my life on it. And there are the princess' footprints. She's alive, or was an hour ago. She is otherwise where I find her. I shall be very put out.
Cuts to Buttercup is spun into camera view, falling heavily as the man in black releases her. We are at the edge of an almost sheer ravine. The drop is sharp and severe. Below, the ravine floor is flat, but getting there will not be half the fun.
Rest, Highness.
I know who you are. Your cruelty reveals everything. You're the dread pirate Roberts. Admit it.
With pride. What can I do for you?
You can die slowly, cut into 1,000 pieces.
Hardly complimentary, Your Highness. Why lose your venom on me?
You killed my love.
It's possible. I kill a lot of people. Who was this love of yours? Another prince like this one? Ugly, rich, and scabby?
No. A farm boy. Poor. Poor and perfect, with eyes like the sea after a storm.
If Buttercup did not hate Robert so, there will probably be tears.
On the high seas, your ship attacked, and the dread pirate Roberts never takes prisoners.
I can't afford to make exceptions. Once a word leaks out that a pirate has gone soft, people begin to disobey you, and then it's nothing but work, work, work all the time.
You mock my pain.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. I remember this farm boy of yours, I think. This would be, 5 years ago? Does it bother you to hear?
Nothing you can say will upset me.
He died well. That should please you. No bribe attempts or blubbering. He simply said, please, please, I need to live. It was the please that caught my memory. I asked him what was so important for him. True love, he replied. And then he spoke of a girl of surpassing beauty and faithfulness. I can only assume he meant you. You should bless me for destroying him before he found out what you really are.
And what am I?
The faithfulness he talked of, madam. Your enduring faithfulness. Now tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to the prince that same hour, or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
You mocked me once. Never do it again. I died that day.
The man in black is about to reply as they stand there, but something catches his attention. Humperdinck's horse rises up to the sky. Buttercup pushes him there with all the strength she has.
And you can die too, for all I care.
The man in black goes teetering on the ravine edge for a moment, then he begins to fall. Down goes the man in black. Down, down, rolling, spinning, crashing, always down toward the flat rock floor of the ravine. There is a long pause. She stands there, alone, as from farther below the words come to her, drifting on the wind.
As you wish.
Oh, my sweet Wesley, what have I done?
And without a second thought or consideration of the dangers, she starts into the ravine. A moment later, she too is falling, spinning, twisting, crashing, and torn, cartwheeling down toward what is left of her beloved. Cut to Prince Humperdinck and the others reining in at the spot where Buttercup promised ransom in exchange for her freedom. The prince shakes his head.
Disappeared. He must have seen us closing in, which might account for the panicking and error. Unless I'm wrong, and I'm never wrong, they are headed dead into the fire swamp.
On the ravine floor, two bodies lie a few feet apart, not moving. It is, of course, Buttercup and Wesley. They might be corpses. After a time, Wesley slowly forces his body into motion. As he does so, we cut to Buttercup, who is bruised and torn, as Wesley crawls slowly toward her.
Can we move at all?
Buttercup weakly stretching out an arm towards him.
Move? You're alive. If you want, I can fly.
I told you, I would always come for you. Why didn't you wait for me?
Oh, you were dead.
Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while.
And I will never doubt again.
There will never be need.
And now they began to kiss. It's a tender kiss, tender and loving and gentle and...
Oh, no. No, please.
They cut back to the kids' bedroom.
What is it? What's the matter?
They're kissing again. Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Someday, you might not mind as much.
Skip to the fire swamp. That sounded good.
Oh, you're sick. I'll humor you. So now where were we? Wesley and Buttercup race along the ravine floor.
Humperdinck and his men are perched at the top of the cliff, looking down at Wesley and Buttercup.
Your pig fiancé is too late. A few more steps and we'll be safe in the fire swamp.
We'll never survive.
Nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
As they race off, leaving Humperdinck and his men stranded, defeated, we cut to the fire swamp, and it really doesn't look any worse than any other moist, sulfurous, infernal horror you might run across. Great trees block the sun. Buttercup is clearly panicked, and maybe Wesley is too, but he moves gently, sword in hand.
It's not that bad. I'm not saying I'd like to build a summer home here, but the trees are actually quite lovely.
The giant trees, thick and black green, look ominous as hell, and they shield all but intermittent stripes of sun. A giant spurt of flame misses Wesley, but Buttercup is suddenly on fire. At least the lower half of her is, and Wesley instantly forces Buttercup to sit, gathering her flaming hand in his hands, doing his best to suffocate the fire. This isn't all that easy, and it causes him a bit of grief, but he does his best to sound as jaunty as before.
Well now, that was an adventure. Singed a bit, were you?
Buttercup wasn't, and she shakes her head no.
You?
He was. and shakes his head no. As he pulls her to her feet, there's another popping sound. Weasley grabs Buttercup and pulls her aside to safety as another great spoon of flame suddenly shoots up.
Well, one thing I will say, the fire swamp certainly does keep you on your toes.
Buttercup is frozen with fear. He takes her hand gently and leads her forward. The two of them are moving along a particularly dangerous part of the fire swamp. It's later now. The sun slants down at a slightly different angle.
This will all soon be but a happy memory because Robert's ship, Revenge, is anchored at the far end, and I, as you know, am Robert's.
But how is that possible, since he's been marauding 20 years and you only left me 5 years ago?
I am often surprised at life's little quirks. You see, what I told you before about saying please was true. It intrigued Roberts, as did my descriptions of your beauty.
Weasley takes his sword, slices a path for them to follow. The vine has grown with the fall. He's been chatting away the whole time.
Finally, Roberts decided something. He said, "All right, Wesley, I've never had a valet. You can try it for tonight. I'll most likely kill you in the morning." It was a fine time, and Roberts and I eventually became friends, and then it happened.
What? Go on.
Well, Roberts had grown so rich, he wanted to retire. So he took me to his cabin and told me a secret. "I am not the dread pirate Roberts," he said. "My name is Ryan. I inherited the ship from the previous dread pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit it from me. The man I inherited it from was not the dread pirate Roberts either. His name was Cumberbund. The real Roberts has been retired 15 years and living like a king in Patagonia." Then he explained the name was the important, inspiring, the necessary fear. You see, no one would surrender to the dread pirate Wesley. So we sailed ashore, took on an entirely new crew, and he stayed aboard for a while as first mate, all the time calling me Roberts ever since. Except now that we're together, I shall retire and hand the name over to someone else. Is everything clear to you?
Buttercup, perplexed, is about to reply, but the ground she steps on gives way. It's a lightning sand. A great patch of it, and it has her. A cloud of powder rises, and she sinks into the stuff crying Wesley's name, but then she is gone. Wesley is lashing at a U-shaped vine, hacked in half. It's still connected to the tree. Then he grabs it, drops his sword, and clutching the other end of the vine, he dives to the lightning sand, and there is another cloud of white powder, but it settles quickly. Now nothing can be seen. Nothing at all. Just a line in sand, lovely and lethal. Wesley has Buttercup across his shoulders, and as he pulls the edge of the lighting sand pit using the vine, we see Buttercup. Her face is caked with the white powder. It is in her eyes, ears, hair, mouth. She's still probably beautiful, but you have to look awfully hard to see it. As Wesley continues to pull them to safety.
We'll never succeed. We may as well die here.
No, we have already succeeded. I mean, what are the 3 terrors of the fire swamp? 1, the flame spurts, no problem. There's a popping sound preceding each. 2, the lightning sounds. But you were clever enough to discover what that looked like, so in the future we can avoid that too.
What about the ROUS's? It's can't speak.
Rodents of unusual size. I don't think they exist.
As he says that, an ROUS comes flying at him from off screen. Buttercup is screaming and Wesley is pinned under the attacking ROUS, trying to fend it off. Can't. The thing's teeth sink deep into his arms. He howls. Wesley drives a fist into the beast's face, rolling it off. He reaches for his sword just a few feet away, but the ROUS is back to atop him. It is a fierce battle, and just when you think Wesley can't possibly win, he flips the ugly rodent clear. Wesley scrambles for his sword. The ROUS stampedes on, changing its target, heading right toward Buttercup. She is scared to death. Wesley abandons his sword, reaching for the rodent, grabbing only a tail, or wrestling with it. Buttercup grabs a small branch, using it as a club, beats the skull of the thing, doing pretty well, but the beast manages to snag her ham with his razor teeth, and she falls to the ground. Wesley jumps into his back. The ROUS, it's all over him now, sinking needle teeth into Wesley's shoulder. Cuts to Wesley with death close at hand, as a popping sound starts. He tries on one desperate move, rolls into the sand. A flame spurt shoots skyward. Wesley has the ROUS pinned under him as the bead spurts into flame. He lets go, and Wesley rolls safely free. Grabs his sword, and it saucily hold on. Grabs his sword, and it saucily stabs the ROUS, which is trying to put itself out. He collapses dead. Wesley stands motionless and exhausted. The danger has passed. Cuts to the far edge of the fire swamp. Beyond, a beach.
We did it.
Now, was that so terrible?
Cuts to, from somewhere there is someone's strength. Pick up their pace, and as they reach the edge of the fire swamp, we see something we hadn't expected. Humphrey Dink on his horse, rugging beside him. Buttercup and Wesley are about to leave the edge of the fire swamp. They stop. Buttercup looks beyond exhaustion. Wesley looks worse. It's dusk.
Surrender!
You mean you wish to surrender to me? Very well, I accept.
I give you full marks for bravery. Don't make a fool of yourself.
But how will you capture us? We know the secrets of the fire swamp. We can live there happily for some time, and so whenever you feel like dying, feel free to visit.
I will tell you once again, surrender!
It will not happen.
Buttercup is looking from one to the other, and something catches her eye. One warrior has a loaded crossbow aimed at Wesley's heart. Another aimed at Wesley's head.
For the last time, surrender!
Death first.
A third warrior has a crossbow stretched, ready to shoot. This one is hidden, so that Wesley will not escape.
Will you promise not to hurt him?
What was that?
If we surrender and I return to you, will you promise not to hurt this man?
May I live 1,000 years and never hunt again.
He's a sailor on the pirate ship Revenge. Promise to return him to his ship.
I swear it will be done.
Buttercup and Wesley look intently into each other's eyes. Humphrey, Dick, and Burgins whisper to each other.
Once we're out of sight, take him back to Florum and throw him in the pit of despair.
I swear it will be done.
I thought you were done once, and it almost destroyed me. I could not bear it if you died again, not when I could save you.
Wesley is dazed, silent. Buttercup tries to speak again, but can't. She is swooped off her feet and onto Humperdinck's horse, and off they go. Wesley is staring after her. Ruggin watches as his warriors bring Wesley to him. The Count has a heavy sword, and he holds it in his hand.
Come, sir. We must get you to your ship.
We are men of action. Lies do not become us.
Well spoken, sir. What is it?
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
Counter Ruggin clubs Wesley hard across the skull. Bonk. Wesley starts to fade and the screen goes black. Fading on the pit of despair. Dank and chill, underground and windowless, lit by flickering torches. Frightening. Wesley lies in the center of the cage, chained and helpless. Suddenly, we see something really frightening. A bloodless-looking albino. Deep pale, he silently enters the pit, carrying a tray of food. He puts it down.
Where am I?
The pit of despair!
He begins tending Wesley's wound. Wesley winces.
Don't even think about trying to escape. The chains are far too thick. and don't dream of being rescued either. The only way in is a secret, and only the prince, the count, and I know how to get in and out.
And I'm here until I die.
Till they kill you.
Then why bother curing me?
The prince and the count always insist on everyone being healthy before they're broken.
So it's to be torture. I can cope with torture. You don't believe me?
You survived the fire swamp. You must be brave. But nobody withstands the machine.
He studies Wesley, whose face is almost sad. Cuts to Buttercup, her face pallid, perhaps ill. She wanders down a corridor in Florin Castle. As she moves unseen past an intersecting corridor, Prince Sorry, a bug. The prince in Humperdinck and Count Ruggin are watching behind her.
She's been like that ever since the fire swamp. It's my father's health. That's upsetting her.
Of course.
The king died that very night, and the following dawn, Buttercup and Humperdinck were married, and at noon she met her subjects again, this time as their queen.
And if we thought it was packed before, we didn't know how many more could fit in this courtyard. Humperdinck, Ruggin, and the queen stand high on the balcony.
My father's final words were...
Hold it, Grandpa.
Cut to the kids' room. The kid is half sitting now. Not strong yet, but clearly stronger than when we first saw him.
You read that wrong. She doesn't marry Humperdinck. She marries Wesley. I'm sure of it. After all that Wesley did for her, if she didn't marry him, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written? Life isn't always fair.
I'm telling you, you're making up the story. No, you're messing up the story. Now get it right.
Do you want me to go on with this?
Yes.
All right then. No more interruptions. At noon, she met her subjects again, this time as their queen. My father's
They
final
cut back
words.
to Prince Humperdinck.
My father's final words were, "Love her as I loved her, and there will be joy. I present to you your queen, Queen Buttercup."
They cut to the ground. It's gigantic. You see Buttercup emerge from the archway like before. Suddenly, the crowd goes onto its knees. Buttercup is as touched as before, but then we hear someone is booing. It gets louder as an ancient woman approaches Buttercup through the crowd, booing every step of the way.
Boo. I'm booing myself. This is awkward. Okay. Why do you do this? Because you had love in your hands and you gave it up. But they would have killed Wesley if I hadn't done it. Your true love lives and you marry another. True love saved her in the fire swamp and she treated it like garbage. And that's what she is, the queen of refuse. So bow down to her if you want. Bow to her. Bow to the queen of slime, the queen of filth, the queen putrescence. Oh, boo, boo, rubbish, filth, slime, much. Boo, boo.
She advances on Buttercup now, who is more and more panicked. Louder and louder and louder, she shrieks with desperation at Buttercup, reaching out her old hands toward Buttercup's throat. And Buttercup is as frightened now as Dorothy was when the witch went after her in The Wizard of Oz. And suddenly, Buttercup comes out of the nightmare, alone in her castle bedroom, as she frantically grabs a robe and starts to run.
It was 10 days till the wedding. The king still lived, but Buttercup's nightmares were growing steadily worse.
See? Didn't I tell you that she'd never marry that rotten Humperdinck?
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up.
Buttercup bursts into the prince's chambers. Count Ruggin stands nearby.
It comes to this. I love Wesley. I always have. I know now I always will. If you tell me I must marry you in 10 days, please believe me, I will be dead by morning.
I could never cause you grief. Consider our wedding off. You return this Wesley to his ship?
Yes.
Then we will simply alert him. Beloved, you are certain he still wants you? After all, it was you who did the leaving in the fire swamp. Not to mention that pirates are not known to be men of their words.
My Wesley will always come for me.
I suggest a deal. You write 4 copies of a letter. I send my 4 fastest ships, 1 in each direction. The dread pirate Roberts is always close to Florin this time of year. We will run up the white flag, deliver your message. If Wesley wants you, bless you both. If not, please consider me as an alternative to suicide. Are we agreed?
She nods. Cuts to a thick grove of trees. The trees are unusual in one respect. All of them are extraordinarily heavily knotted. Humperdinck and Ruggin are walking into the grove of trees.
Your princess is really a winning creature. A trifle with simple, perhaps, but her appeal is undeniable.
Oh, I know. The people are quite taken with her. It's odd, But when I hired Vicini to have her murdered on our engagement day, I thought that was clever. But it's going to be so much more moving when I strangle her on our wedding night. Once Gilder is blamed, the nation will be truly outraged. They'll demand to go to war.
Now, where is that secret note? It's impossible to find.
Ruggin hits a spot on the tree and it opens, revealing a staircase leading underground.
Are you coming down into the pit? Wesley's got his strength back. I am starting him on the machine tonight.
Tyrone, you know how much I love watching you work. But I've got my country 500th anniversary to plan, my wife's murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
Get some rest. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
He smiles and hurries down the stairs as the tree slides perfectly into place. He cuts to an enormous contraption. We can't tell quite what it is or what it does, but somehow it is unsettling. Kalturungan drags Weasley up alongside. Oh my gosh! Kalturungan drags Weasley up alongside the thing. Levers and wheels and wires, everything is there. There is a die with numbers ranging from a low of 1 to a high of 50.
Beautiful, isn't it? It took me half a lifetime to invent it. I'm sure you've discovered my deep and abiding interest in pain. At present, I am writing the definitive work on the subject, so I want you to be totally honest with how the machine makes you feel. This being our first try, I'll use the lowest setting.
He turns the dial to 1. Wesley has suction cups on his head now, on his temple, on his heart, his hands and feet. He says nothing, keeps control of himself. Kalturungan fiddles with his machine a moment more, turning the wheel, which in turn gets the machine really going. Wesley is lying down on the table. He's only flesh, and the chains are metal and his desperation. It almost seems he might break them. A terrible sound comes from his throat, and in incessant gasping, he keeps on coming to finally switch to Ruggin. Off the machine, picks up a large notebook and pen, sitting on a chair. The noise of the machine subsides. Ruggin opens the book to a blank page.
As you know, the concept of the suction cup is centuries old. Well, really, that's all this is. Except that instead of sucking water, I'm sucking your life. I've just sucked 1 year of your life away. I might one day go as high as 5, but I really don't know what that would do to you. So let's start with what we have. What did this do to you? Tell me. And remember, this is for posterity. So be honest. How do you feel?
Wesley is in anguish so deep it is dizzying. Helpless, he cries. Kalturungan watches the tears, then starts to write.
Interesting.
Cuts to Humperdinck. He is in his quarters, swamped by business. Piles of papers are strewn all over. Now yelling, a pale, shifty, quick-eyed man appears at the doorway.
Yellen, as chief enforcer of Florin, I trust you with this secret. The killers from Gilder are infiltrating the thieves' forest and plan to murder my bride on our wedding night.
My spy network has heard no such news, sire.
Buttercup enters the room.
Any word from Wesley?
Too soon, my angel. Patience.
He will come for me.
Of course.
She leaves the room.
She will not be murdered. On the day of the wedding, I want the thieves' forest emptied and every inhabitant arrested.
Many of the thieves will resist. My regular enforcers will be inadequate.
Form a brute squad, then. I want the thieves of the forest emptied before I wed.
It won't be easy, sire.
Try ruling the world sometime.
Cuts to the thieves' forest. Day. A lot of hooting and hollering is going on. The thieves are being rounded up by the brute squad, a large group of large men. Yellen stands on a wagon in the midst of all the scuffling.
The day of the wedding arrived. The brute squad had their hands full carrying out Humperdinck's orders.
Is everybody out?
Almost. There's a Spaniard giving us some trouble.
Well, you give him some trouble. Move.
Cuts to Inigo drunk as a skunk, sprawled in front of a hovel, a bottle of brandy in one hand, the 6-finger sword in the other. He looks dreadful, unshaved, puffy-eyed, gaunt, but the way he brandishes this great sword in front of him will give anyone cause for worry.
I am waiting for you, Vicini. You said, go back to the beginning. So I have. This is where I am, this is where I will stay, and I will not be moved.
He takes a long drink from the bottle, stopping as the assistant brute comes into view.
Ho there.
I do not budge. Keep your hoe there.
But the prince gave orders.
So did Vicini. When a job went wrong, you went back to the beginning. I am staying until Vicini comes.
You, brute, come here.
I am waiting for Vicini.
You surely are a meanie. Inigo feels a hand on his back, a huge hand. He compares it to his own smaller hand. Hello.
It's you.
True. As the assistant brute is just about to club Inigo's brains out, Frederick lets fly with a suspended punch. The assistant brute takes the full force of the blow right in the chops. It's like he was shot from a cannon. He careens backwards out of sight across the street. There is a pause. Then a crunching sound as he clearly has come in contact with something hard and immobile. Fezzik pulls Inigo up. You don't look so good. You don't smell so good either.
Perhaps not. I feel fine.
Yeah? Fezzik puts Inigo down. That's when he faints. Cuts to an empty alehouse in the thieves' quarter. Inigo sits lumped in the chair, while Fezzik spoons him some stew.
Fezzik and Inigo were reunited, and as Fezzik nursed his inebriated friend back to health, he told Inigo of Vicini's death and existence of the Count Rogan, the 6-fingered man. Consider Inigo a lifelong search. He handled the news surprisingly well.
We see 2 large tubs. One is filled with steaming water, the other with water clearly of an icy nature. Without a word, Fezzik stuffs Inigo's head in the icy water. Then, after a reasonable amount of time, pulls him out, ducks him into the steaming stuff. After a short time, he repeats the process again.
That's enough. That's enough. Where is this Rugen so I may kill him?
He's with the prince in the castle. But the castle gate is guarded by 30 men.
How many could you handle?
I don't think more than 10. Inigo does the math with his fingers.
That leaves more than 20 for me. At my best, I could never defeat that many. I need Vicini to plan. I have no gift for strategy.
But Vicini's dead. The 2 of them sit silent and bereft. Then a wild look hits Inigo.
No, not Vicini. I need the man in black.
What?
He bested you with strength, your greatness. He bested me with steel. He must have outthought Vicini. And a man who can do that can plan my castle's onslaught any day. Let's go.
Where?
To find the man in black, obviously.
But you don't know where he is. Inigo is now possessed by demons.
Don't bother me with trifles. After 20 years at last, my father's soul will be at peace. There will be blood tonight.
Cuts to Prince Humperdinck's chambers. His chambers are strewn with maps, etc. Yelling enters and news.
Rise and report.
The thieves' forest is emptied. 30 men guard the castle gate.
Double it. My princess must be safe.
The gate has but 1 key, and I carry it.
She shows the key dangling from a chain around his neck. Buttercup enters.
Ah, my dulcet darling. Today we marry. Tomorrow morning, your men will escort us to Florence Channel, where every ship in my armada waits to accompany us on your honeymoon.
Every ship but your 4 fastest, you mean?
Yeah, the prince stares at her blankly for a moment.
Every ship but the 4 you sent.
Yes, of course, naturally. Not those 4.
Your Majesties,
He exits. Buttercup is staring at Humperdinck.
You never said the ships. Don't bother lying, it doesn't matter. Wesley will come for me anyway.
You're a silly girl.
Yes, I am a silly girl, for not having seen sooner that you were nothing but a coward with a heart full of fear.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Why not? You can't hurt me. Wesley and I are joined by the bonds of love, and you cannot track that. Not with 1,000 bloodhounds, and you cannot break it. Not with 1,000 swords. And when I say you are a coward, that is only because you are the slimiest weakling ever to crawl the earth.
Humperdinck jumps at her, yanking her by the hair, starting to pull her along. Out of control, his words indistinct.
I would not say such a thing if I were you.
We cut to a corridor of the castle as the prince throws open the door to Buttercup's room, slams it shut, locks it, breaks into a wild run, and we cut to Wesley as he's on the and we cut to Wesley on the machine. Count Rongin is adding more notes to his book. He looks up as the prince suddenly comes down the steps, raging.
You truly love each other, and so you might think you would be truly happy. Not one couple in a century has had that chance, no matter what the storybooks say. And so I think no man in a century will suffer as you will.
He rolls and turns on the machine, revs the lever, and...
Not to 50.
But it's too late. Prince Humperdinck has shoved the lever all the way up. On Wesley's face, we see that there has never been such pain. The pain grows and grows, and within now, something else has started. The death scream. As the death scream starts to rise, it cuts outside a pit of despair as the sound moves along, louder and louder, and yelling, he sits the brutes and they bear it. Buttercup is in her room. She hears the sound but doesn't know what it is. But her arms involuntarily go around her body to try to control the trembling and the scream, still bold as it still builds. Across the river, there are many people. It is the day of the country's 500th anniversary. But all the people stop as the sound hits them. Children pale and bold towards the parents. Inigo and Fezzik are trying to make their way through the jammed marketplace, which quiets as the fading sound comes through.
Fezzik, listen, do you hear? That is the sound of ultimate suffering. My heart made that sound when Reuben slaughtered my father. The man in black makes it now.
The man in black?
His true love is marrying another tonight. So who else calls for ultimate suffering?
The two try to push through, but it's too crowded.
Excuse me, pardon me. Fezzik, please.
Everybody move!
Thank you.
The crowd begins to fall away. Fezzik and Inigo start to track the sound down. Cuts to the grove of trees. The albino appears reeling and barrel. Inigo's sword pushes at his chest.
Where is the man in black? You get there from the grove, yes? Fezzik? Jog his memory.
Fezzik crushes the albino on top of his head. Bonk! As if he had a hammer and was driving in a nail. The albino drops without a sound. I'm sorry, Inigo. I didn't mean to jag him so hard. Inigo? He kneels, the sword held tightly between his hands. Eyes closed, he faces the grove of trees, starts to talk, his voice low and strange.
Father, I have failed you for 20 years. Now our misery can end. Somewhere close by is a man who can help us. I cannot find him alone. I need you to guide my sword. Please guide my sword.
Inigo walks. Fezzik, frightened, follows close behind. Inigo is walking blind through the grave of trees. He moves to the secret knot. For a long moment, he stands frozen. He whirls, eyes still closed, and the sword strikes home dead center into a knot and he opens his eyes. There is nothing. He has failed. In utter despair, he collapses against the tree. He slides away, revealing the staircase. Fezzik and Inigo look at each other, then start down. Wesley is dead by the machine. Fezzik leans over him, listening for a heartbeat. He then looks at Inigo and shakes his head. He's dead. Inigo's in despair. For a moment, he just sags.
It is just not fair.
Grandpa, wait.
Cuts to the kid's room. He's terribly excited and looks stronger than we've yet seen him.
Wait, what did Fezzik mean? I mean, He didn't mean dead. Wesley's only faking, right?
Do you want me to read this or not?
Who gets Humperdinck?
I don't understand.
Who kills Prince Humperdinck at the end? Somebody's got to do it. Is it Inigo?
Nobody? Nobody killed him. He lives.
You mean he wins? Jesus, Grandpa! What did you read me this thing for?
You know, you've been very sick. You're taking the story very seriously. I think we better stop.
Closes the book and starts to get up.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Sit down, all right?
Okay, all right. Now, let's see. Where were we? Oh, yes. In the pit of despair.
Cuts to Inigo in despair. Rebecca in the pit. The same shot as before.
Well, we Montoyas have never taken defeat easily. Come along, Fezzik. Bring the body.
The body?
Have you any money?
I have a little.
I just hope it's enough to buy a miracle, that's all.
As Fezzik takes the corpse, he follows Inigo up the stairs. Cuts to a hovel, dusk. Inigo, Fezzik, and Wesley approach the door. They knock. From inside the hovel, a little man's voice is heard. If Mel Brooks' year-old man was really old, he resembled this guy.
Go away!
Inigo pounds again.
What?
Are you Miracle Max who worked for the king all those years?
The king's stinking son fired me, and thank you for bringing up such a painful subject. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice on it? We're closed.
He shuts the window. They rap on the door again.
Beat it, or call the brute squad. Yeah.
I'm on the Broad Squad.
You are the brute squad.
We need a miracle, and it's very important.
Look, I'm retired, and besides, why would you want someone the king's stinking son fired? I might kill whoever you want me to miracle.
He's already dead.
He is, huh? I'll take a look. Bring him in.
He unlocks the door and lets them in. Inigo and Fezzik go hurrying inside. Fezzik carries Wesley, who is just starting to stiffen up a little. He lays Wesley down across the bench by the fireplace, picks Wesley's arm up, and lets it drop a limp.
I've seen worse.
He studies Wesley for a moment, checking here, checking there.
Sir!
Huh?
We really are in a terrible rush.
Don't rush me, Sonny. You rush a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. You got money?
65.
Sheesh! I never worked for so little, except once, and that was a very noble cause.
This is noble, sir. His wife is crippled. His children on the brink of starvation.
You are a Russian liar.
I need him to help avenge my father, murdered these 20 years.
Your first story was better. What's that, Bellows? He probably owes you money, huh? Well, I'll ask him.
He's dead. He can't talk.
Look who knows so much. Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please open his mouth.
Inigo does so. Max inserts a bell in Wesley's mouth and starts to pump.
Now, mostly dead are slightly alive. Now, all dead, well, with all dead, there's usually only one thing you can do.
What's that?
Go through his clothes and check for loose change. Hey, what's so important? What have you got here that's worth living for?
True love.
True love. You heard him. You could not ask for a more noble cause than that.
Sonny, true love is the greatest thing in the world. Except for a nice MLT and mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich where the mutton is nice and lean and the tomato is ripe. I love that. But that's not what he said. He distinctly said to believe, and as we all know, to believe means to bluff. So you're probably playing cards. He cheated.
Liar!
Valerie, an ancient fury, storms out of the back room.
Get back, witch.
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. But after what you just said, I'm not sure I want to be that anymore.
You never had it so good.
True love, he said. True love, Max, my God.
Don't say another word, Valerie.
He's afraid. Ever since Prince Humperdinck fired him, his confidence is shattered.
What? Oh,
Humperdinck, 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 ooh,
I'm
Humperdinck.
not listening.
A life expiring and you don't have the decency to say why you won't help.
No one's hearing anything.
Humperdinck, Humperdinck, Humperdinck.
But this is Buttercup's true love. If you heal him, he will stop Humperdinck's wedding.
Humperdinck, Humperdinck.
Shut up. Wait. I make him better, Humperdinck stuffers.
Humiliations galore.
That is a noble cause. Give me the 65. I'm on the job.
Valerie shrieks excitedly. We see a lump. It is somewhat smaller than a tennis ball. Matt and Valerie are exhausted, looking at the lump with beatific pleasure, as Valerie, cooking utensil in hand, covers the thing with what looks like chocolate. Inigo and Fazek stare at him too, though more dubiously.
That's a miracle pill.
Yes, the chocolate coating makes it go down easier, but you have to wait 15 minutes for full potency, and you shouldn't go swimming after, for what, at least?
An
what?
hour.
Yeah, an hour.
Good hour, yeah.
Inigo accepts the pill as Fazek takes Wesley, as stiff as a board now.
Thank you for everything.
Okay.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye!
As they wave, trying to look happy, we cut to Fazek, Inigo, and Wesley on top of the outer wall of the castle. They look down to the front gate of the castle. The 60 brutes are visible. Fezzik is thunderstruck by how many brutes there are. Upset, he turns to Inigo, who is concentrating unsuccessfully, trying to prop Wesley against the wall. Inigo, there is more than 30 brutes here.
What's the difference? We got him. Help me here. We'll have to force feed him.
Has it been 50 minutes?
We can't wait. The wedding's in half an hour and we must strike in the hustle and bustle beforehand.
During this, Fezzik, using all his strength, has managed to get Wesley into a right-angle seating position, while Inigo brings out the miracle pill.
Tilts his head back, open his mouth.
How long do we have to wait before we know if the miracle works? Inigo has the pill in hand. He drops it into Wesley's mouth.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll beat you both apart. I'll take you both together.
Guess not very long.
Why won't my arms move?
He sits there, immobile, like a ventriloquist dummy. Fine, it's my lighter I didn't highlight it. You've been mostly dead all day.
We had Miracle Max make a pill to bring you back.
Who are you? Are we enemies? Why am I on the small? Where's Buttercup?
Let me explain. No, it's too long. Let me sum up. Buttercup is marrying Humperdinck in less than an hour. So all we have to do is get in, break up the wedding, steal the princess, and make our escape after I kill Count Rugen.
Well, that doesn't leave much time for dilly-dallying.
He is watching his finger, one of which twitches now. And you've just wiggled your finger. That's wonderful.
I've always been a quick healer. What are our liabilities?
There is but one working castle gate, and it is guarded by 60 men.
And our assets?
Your brains, physics strength, my steel.
That's it? Impossible. If I had a month to plan, maybe I could come up with something, but this.
He shakes his head from side to side. Hey, you just shake your head. Doesn't that make you happy?
My brain's his steel and your strength against 60 men, and you think my little head jiggle is supposed to make me happy? I mean, if only we had a wheelbarrow, that would be something.
Where did we put that wheelbarrow the albino had?
Over the albino, I think.
Well, why didn't you list that among our assets in the first place? What I wouldn't give for a Holocaust cloak.
There we cannot help you.
Fennec pulls something out of his pocket. Would you believe it? It's a Holocaust cloak. Will this do?
Where did you get that?
A miracle, Matt says. If it's so nice, he said he could keep it.
All right. Come on, help me out.
Inigo and Fezzik do so.
Now we'll need a sword eventually.
Why? You can't even lift one.
True, but that's hardly common knowledge, is it?
He tilts his head tilts back. Fennec sets it up right for him.
Thank you. Now there may be problems once we're inside.
I'll say. How do I find the Count? Once I do, how do I find you again? How do we escape?
Don't pester him. He's had a hard day.
Right. Sorry.
Cuts to Buttercup. She's in her bridal gown, and she's incredible. It's not just her beauty. There's a tranquility about her now. We pull back to reveal the prince, fastening a pearl necklace around her.
You don't seem excited, my little muffin.
Should I be?
Brides often are, I'm told.
I do not marry tonight. My Wesley will save me.
Cuts to the main gate of the castle. Wesley looks down the gate with Inigo and Fezzik, yelling and standing at the gate, flanked by his 60 brutes. Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik are looking out at the enemy. And this is it. Inigo and Fezzik shake hands. Wesley can't even do that, but after a moment of rocking back and forth, he manages to get enough momentum. I'm gonna sneeze. He managed to get enough momentum to catapult his arm over and onto his friends. Cuts to an absolutely gem-like little chapel. The most intelligent-looking, most impressive-appearing clergyman. Hold on, let me restart. The most intelligent-looking, most impressive-appearing clergyman imaginable stands set in front of the room. Buttercup and Humperdinck are kneel before him. Behind him sit the mumbling old queen and king. Standing in the back is Count Rogan. 4 guards are in postern, flanking the chapel door.
Mallet. Mallet is what brings us together today.
He has an impediment that would stop a clock.
Mallet, the blessed arrangement that dream with him a dream.
There is no commotion from outside the castle.
Stand your ground, man! Stand your ground!
We see the brutes stand yelling by the gate. For it is indeed they who they are. Oh, for it is indeed they who are making the commotion. Frightened, pointing.
Stand your ground!
Cuts to their point of view, and it is a bit unnerving. A giant seems to be floating toward them out of the darkness. A giant in a strange cloak, and with a voice that will crumble walls. I am the dread pirate Roberts. There will be no survivors. Frederick seems to be floating because he's standing in the wheelbarrow, as Indigo, hitting behind him, busts a gut by pushing up and supporting Wesley.
Now?
Not yet.
The giant is floating closer to the gates. My men are here, and I am here, but soon you will not be here. Cuts to yelling. He is keeping the brutes in position, or trying to, shouting orders, instructions, and as yet the brutes hold. Inigo struggles bravely under the combined weight.
Now?
Light him.
The giant bursts suddenly, happily into flames. The dread pirate Roberts takes no survivors. All your worst fears are about to come true. Cuts to the chapel, where the impressive clergyman plows on.
When love, true love, will follow you forever.
Prince Humperdinck turns quickly, giving a sharp nod to Count Brogan, who immediately takes off out of the chapel with the 4 guards as we cut to Fezzik, flaming and scary as hell. The dread pirate Roberts, he is here for your souls. Cuts to yelling, as suddenly as the brutes just scream and take off in white panic.
Stay where you are! I said stay where you are!
Cuts to inside the chapel.
So 'twas your love.
To the end.
Have you doing?
As Humperdinck whips out the ring, the screams are very loud outside. Ah!
Here comes my Wesley now. Ah.
Cut to Fezzik as he pulls off the cloak.
Zeke, the portcullis.
Fezzik rushes forward, grabbing the portcullis, which is indeed closing quickly. Fezzik grabs the gate, and swings the tonnage back upward, yelling to his watchers in fear. Cuts to the chapel. Humperdinck shoves the ring on Buttercup's finger.
Your wizard is dead. I killed him myself.
Then why is there fear behind your eyes?
And she's right. It's there. Cuts to yelling. He's pressed against the main gate. Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik close in.
Give us the gate key.
I have no gate key.
Fezzik, tear his arms off.
Fezzik steps towards him.
Oh, you mean this gate key?
He whips it out and hands it to Fezzik. Back in the chapel, we see Humperdinck, Buttercup, and the impressive clergyman.
And the you, Princess Buttercup.
Man and wife. Say man and wife.
Man and wife.
Escort the bride to the honeymoon suite. I'll be there shortly.
Buttercup stands there, dazed.
He didn't come.
Cuts to Ruggin. Him and his 4 warriors are racing through the castle. They reach a complex intersection of corridors. Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik are moving toward them. Actually, Fezzik is dragging Wesley, who is in turn dragging Yelin's swords like a stiff dog. Wesley simply hasn't the strength to raise it. The confrontation is about to start.
Kill the Dark One and the Giant. But leave the third for questioning.
His warriors attack. Inigo goes wild. Perhaps the warriors are good. Maybe they're even better than that, but they never get a chance to show it because this is something now. This is Inigo gone mad, and the 6-fingered sword has never flashed faster. The 4th warrior is dead before the first one has even hit the floor. There's a pause.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
For a moment, Virgin just stands there, sword in hand. Then he does a most unexpected thing. He runs. He turns and runs like hell away. Inigo is momentarily surprised. Then he takes off after him, leaving Wesley and Fezzik to exchange curious looks, and Ruggin running through the half-open, heavy wooden door, shutting in and locking it just as Inigo throws himself against it. He tries again. No kind of chance.
Fezzik, I need you!
Fezzik props Wesley against a large suit of armor and takes off towards the intersection where Inigo's voice came from. Now I'll be right back. Inigo is still hammering the door. Fezzik approaches when with one mighty swipe of his mighty hands, the door closes. With one mighty swipe of his mighty hands, the door crumbles.
Thank you.
Fezzik heads back to Wesley. Cuts to Buttercup walking with the king.
Strange wedding.
Buttercup gently stops the king and places a kiss on his forehead. He's very surprised and pleased.
What was that for?
Because you've always been so kind to me, and since I won't be seeing you again, since I'm killing myself once you reach honeymoon suite.
The king smiles away. His hearing isn't what it used to be.
Wouldn't that be nice? She kissed me.
Cuts to Count Ruggin, and he's running, dashing through corridors, and as he glances back, he sees Inigo behind him. Count Ruggin flashes out of a room, down a staircase, picking up his pace. He pulls out a deadly-looking dagger with a sharp point and triangular blade, and sprints on. Inigo is closing the gap, closer and closer. He's down the stairs and heading to a dining hall. Count Ruggin throws the dagger. Inigo tries like hell to get out of the way, but no. He sticks deep within his stomach, and he hurls back helplessly against the wall of the room. His eyes glazed, blood coming from his wound. The room is going white on him.
Sorry, father. I tried.
Ruggin looks across the room at Inigo. He stares at Inigo's face. Then he touches his own cheeks as memory comes.
You must be that little Spanish brat I taught a lesson all those years ago. It's simply incredible. Have you been chasing your whole life only to fail now? I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard. How marvelous.
Cuts to Buttercup. She is shutting the door of the honeymoon suite, crossing quietly to the far wall where she sits at a table, opens jewel box, and takes out a very deadly-looking dagger. She seems very much at peace, and as she touches the knife to her bosom,
There's a shortage there's a shortage of perfect breasts in the world. It would be a pity to damage yours.
Buttercup rolls around and we see Wesley lying on the bed, yelling stories beside him. His voice sounds just fine, but he does not move. Buttercup leaps to the bed, covering him with kisses. Wesley is helpless.
Oh, Wesley, darling. Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Gently.
At a time like this, that's all you think to say. Gently.
Gently!
She lets go, thumping his head against the headboard. Cuts to Count Brogan. He is looking very much surprised.
Heavens, are you still trying to win?
We pull back to review Inigo, struggling feebly, pulling the dagger from his stomach, holding the dagger with his left hand. Ruggian's pushing him off the table, sword in hand, moving to kill Inigo.
You've got an overdeveloped sense of vengeance. It's going to get you into trouble someday.
Inigo watches the Count approach, and the Count flicks his sword at Inigo's heart. There is not much Inigo can do, just kind of vaguely bury the first with the six-fingered sword. Kataranga's blade sinks deeply into Inigo's left shoulder. He doesn't seem to feel it, his other agonies are so much worse. And as his blow comes, he's trying to use the wall for support in forcing himself to his feet. And it's not a roaring success of an attempt, but it does at least make some progress. And again, he manages to parry the thrust. At this time, Ruggian's sword runs through his right arm. Again, Inigo doesn't seem to mind, doesn't even feel it. Ruggian stepping back for just a moment, watching as Inigo continues to winch his way to his feet. And then, just before the Count is about to strike again, Inigo manages a little flick of his own, and Ruggian hadn't expected it, and he jumps back, makes a little involuntary cry of surprise, and we see Inigo slowly pushing away from the wall.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Ruggian suddenly goes into a fierce attack, striking with great power and precision, for he is a master swordsman. He forces Inigo back, driving him easily into the wall. But he does not penetrate Inigo's defense. None of the Count's blows got home. As the Count steps back a moment, Inigo pushes slowly off the wall again. He opens his mouth to speak, louder than the last time.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
The Count attacks again, slashing with wondrous skill, but none of his blows get through, and slowly, Inigo again moves forward.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Stop saying that.
Count Rongi retreats more quickly around the table. Inigo drives for the Count's left shoulder now, first home where the Count had gotten him. Then another move, his blade enters the Count's right shoulder, the same spot Inigo was wounded.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
No.
Offer me money.
And now, the six-fingered sword strikes. There is a slash bleeding along one of Rongi's cheeks.
Yes.
Power too. Promise me that.
The great sword flashes again. There is a parallel slash on the other cheek.
All I have and more.
Offer me everything I ask for.
Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch!
Inigo strikes one final time, too fast for the eye to follow. Ruggian cries in fear and panic as the sword hits home, dead center. Ruggian is dead. Skin is ashen and blood still pours from his cuts. His eyes are bulging wide, full of fear. Inigo stares at Ruggian. Inigo does something we have never seen him before. He smiles. Cuts to inside the honeymoon suit. Wesley slides as before, that a muscle has moved. His head is still on the headboard. Yelling sword at his side. Buttercup is alongside the bed. Her eyes never leave his face.
Wesley, will you never forgive me?
What hideous sin have you committed lately?
I got married. I didn't want to. It all happened so fast.
It never happened.
What?
It never happened.
But it did. I was there. This old man said, men in waif.
Did you say I do?
Well, no, we sort of skipped that part.
Then you're not married. If you didn't say it, you didn't do it. Wouldn't you agree, Your Highness?
Humperdinck entered the room, staring at him. He pulls out his sword.
A technicality that will shortly be remedied. But first things first, to the death.
No, to the pain.
I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain. I'll use small words so that you'll be able to understand, you wart-hog-faced buffoon.
That may be the first time in a life a man has dared to insult me.
It won't be the last. To the pain means the first thing you'll lose will be your feet, below the ankles, then your hands at the wrists, next your nose.
And then my tongue, I suppose. I killed you too quickly last time. A mistake I don't mean to duplicate tonight.
I wasn't finished. The next thing you will lose will be your left eye, followed by the right, and then my ears.
And then my ears. I understand. Let's get on with it.
Wrong. You keep your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why.
Humperdinck now stops. The look that was in his eyes at the wedding, the look of fear, is starting to return.
So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what to the pain means. It means I will leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
Humperdinck is doing his best to hide the fear that keeps building inside him.
I think you're bluffing.
It's possible, pig. I might be bluffing. It's conceivable, you miserable vomitous mass, that I'm only lying here because I lack the strength to stand. And again, perhaps I have the strength after all.
Slowly, Wesley begins to move. His body turns, his feet look out to the floor. He starts to stand. Humperdinck is staring, eyes wide. Wesley is now standing, sword in fighting position.
Drop your sword.
Humperdinck is so panicked he doesn't know whether to pee or wind his watch. He throws his sword at the floor.
Have a seat. Tie him up. Make it as tight as you like.
Cuts to Inigo.
Where's Fezzik?
I thought he was with you.
In that case,
He falls over. Wesley in the case. Oh no, he's dead.
Nico.
oh, Wesley falls over. I'm not smart, guys.
I thought it was me for a second.
Help him,
Why does Wesley need helping?
because he has no strength.
I knew it! I knew you were bluffing! I knew he was bluffing.
Shall I dispatch him for you?
Thank you, but no. Whatever happens to us, I want him to live a long life alone with his cowardice.
Inigo! Inigo, where are you? They look at each other, then look to the balcony. We see Fezzik, leading 4 great white horses. Ah, there you are. Inigo, I saw the prince's stables. There are 4 white horses. I thought, there are 4 of us. If we ever find a lad, hello, lad. So I took them with me in case we ever bumped into each other. I guess we just did.
Fezzik, you did something right.
Don't worry, I won't let it go to my head. As he holds out his great arms, we see something unexpected and lovely. Buttercup floating through the air. And what's happening, of course, is that she's jumping down from the balcony so Patrick can catch her.
You know, it's very strange. I have been in the revenge business so long. Now that it's over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered piracy? You'd make a wonderful Dread Pirate Roberts.
Cuts to Buttercup and Wesley. At last, their trails are done. They stop.
They rode off to freedom, and the dawn arose. Wesley and Buttercup knew they were safe. A wave of love swept over them, and they reached for each other.
Buttercup and Wesley begin the ultimate kiss. Cuts to the kid's bedroom. The grandfather stops reading.
What? What?
No, it's kissing again. You don't want to hear it.
I don't mind so much.
He gestures for his grandfather to read. Buttercup and Wesley are locked in a deep, pure, and passionate kiss.
Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind. The end.
Cuts to the kids' room. The grandfather snaps the book closed.
Now, I think you ought to go to sleep.
Grandpa, maybe could you come over and read it again to me tomorrow?
As you wish.
And his smile is enough. As the grandfather steps out the door, tipping his hat. Final fade out. The end. Hey!
Woo!
Oh,
Yeehaw!
My background made the effect of me closing the book not work.
All right, babe.
Aw.
Rip.
Aw, rip.
The end.
Yay!
You're like, is this even backward? Oh, it's backwards on there. Oof.
Oh no. There we go. There's remove spotlight. Good. We did it.
Are you gonna? Do we have credits for this one?
Do we?
Has someone put together the credits?
Probably not.
probably
We
not.
have-
We do have the
We can
drawing.
share individual
Yeah,
art
we-
pieces, I guess.
Oops. Oh god.
We're
Thank you
professionals.
for the
don't worry.
applause, Mom.
Thank
You're
you,
so
Mars,
good.
Mom!
Thanks,
Um,
Mom.
Some of my friends read The Princess Bride for their 10th
Oh,
grade novel study.
I like how I just got mentioned in the
11th
Instagram
grade.
story. Oh, here we go. This is fine. This is fine.
That's fine.
Did we get the Insta story before we got credits?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait.
Of
What
course,
kind of weird turn of event is this?
I don't have. Right.
Where to find that?
Oh,
How
you're
does technology work?
Good question. I'll let you know when I find out.
Yeah, we'll
Also, we're still live.
yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You just see us being
Yeah.
idiots.
I think this version might have been not as long as Paul as
we
Electric
actually-
Coffee.
This is actually bang on 2 hours. We did really
we
good.
we only have mixed in the
What?
We did go on 2 hours.
Okay, do we just want to download the images and then just somebody screen share their gallery? I guess I don't know.
Mm.
We do
Probably.
not have real credits.
Guys, stall.
Stalling.
Do.
Look at my sword. Let's check out the sword.
I have my photo. I only have my drawing. Who do I send it to?
I'm working on it.
I'm
The acapella me theme song is our stalling method.
First, I thought we were doing Jeopardy.
Oh, I got
it started
mentioned in the
as
story.
Jeopardy, then it went to we music, and then we're all like out of time with each other and doing just different parts.
That's the chicken
Also, I apologize for the wig.
I don't know where we are anymore.
No, we're still live.
Fuck. Did we do it? Are we good?
Do we still need to stall?
We
Are
can
we
do
just-
more
oh my
singing.
God.
Bye.
Oh God,
you
my
could just
computer
do
does not like
sharing.
this.
What do you want, Bob?
There it is.
Hey!
I hope I have it
Hey.
right. I don't know.
Hey.
Hey, we have credits now.
Go on, let's go, let's go.
Wow!
Why is- Okay, wait. No, I failed. Okay.
Poor
Yay!
Stalin.
Hey!
Yeah.
Nice.
It's been so long.
Hey.
Sound. Ruben. I can't remember it.
Yay! And this is all I had.
Aw.
Yay!
Nice. Yay. Thanks, Frog, for art.
Thank John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
For something.
For something, I'm sure.
Thank John for something.
We have
Thank
to.
you
For
for
just
the
being
inspiration.
cool. Also, quick question.
Thanks,
Does the
Sabine.
Thanks, Sabine.
Thanks,
you,
Sabine.
Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you,
Hey, Joe, come
Sabine.
on, drink.
For
For
organizing.
For organizing
Oh my
this.
God.
And thanks for the credits, Sabine.
Yay.
I want to mention, because this was my script, that actually I didn't edit a lot of it. Like
Wait,
all
I'm gonna-
those like ridiculously long just stage directions, those are just in the script.
Mhm.
Nice.
I did not edit that.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Did you put in the ooh?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of with the movie reference. I was like, why? Are these
This was
movie
really the
references?
Inara show today.
It really
was.
I'm not complaining in the slightest.
Goodbye.
Neither am
you.
I.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Are we saying goodbye to the live